So next I kind of want to go over what's called our half series, and there's two different variations of this, so I will go ahead and go over both. But starting off with our first variation, we're just going to be starting in our child's pose. So just really getting comfortable on our mats in our child's pose, reaching our hands out in front, relaxing our head down on our mat. So then from our child's pose, we'll go ahead, inhale, rising forward, taking our shoulders past our wrists and taking our hips past our knees. Then we'll go ahead, exhale, bending in our elbows, using those triceps for our crocodile. We'll inhale, rising up into our cobra, and then exhale, pressing back into our child's pose once again. And I'm going to go ahead and back up here so I have a little bit more room. But I'm just going to go through that a few times with you guys here so we get some practice. So again, starting in our child's pose, inhaling, rising forward into extended child's shoulders past our wrists. Exhaling, bending in our elbows for our crocodile pose. Inhaling, just coming barely up here so that our chest is looking forward and our eyes are looking forward. And then exhaling, using those triceps, pressing back into our child's pose again. So let's go through that a couple more times. Inhaling, rising forward. Exhaling to our crocodile. Inhaling, rising up to our cobra. And exhaling, pressing back to our child's pose. Inhaling, rising forward. Exhaling to our crocodile. Inhaling, rising to our cobra. And exhaling, pressing back to our child's pose. So again, that is our half series. That's one variation. Then I'll go ahead and go over the other variation. So we'll go ahead and come to a standing position here. We'll start off in our mountain pose. So from our mountain pose, establishing that ground, relaxing our shoulders away from our ears, we'll go ahead and come into our forward fold. From our forward fold, slight bend in the knees. We'll step back into a lunge. We can take the knee down if we'd like, but stepping back, pressing back with the opposite foot to meet. Coming into our downward facing dog. From our downward facing dog, we'll inhale, rise forward into our full plank this time, making sure that our hands are set. Exhaling into our crocodile here. We'll take our feet underneath us for our upward facing dog. Taking our toes back underneath, pressing back to our downward facing dog. Okay, so again, going through that second variation of our half series, and it's a little bit more advanced version. So going through that a couple more times for practice, starting from our downward facing dog. Inhaling, rising forward to our plank. Exhaling to our crocodile. Inhaling, taking our feet underneath us for our upward facing dog. Taking our toes back underneath, pressing back for our downward facing dog. Making sure that as we press back for our downward facing dog, our feet are still in that hip width apart setting. And so inhaling, moving through again, plank. Exhaling to our crocodile. Inhaling to our upward facing dog. Taking our toes back underneath. Pressing back for our downward facing dog. Let's move through that one more time. Inhaling, raising forward to our plank. Exhaling to our crocodile. Inhaling, taking our feet underneath us for our upward facing dog. Taking our toes back underneath. Pressing back for our downward facing dog. So again, we can go ahead and take our knees down. Again, those are a couple variations of our half series, and throughout our practice, we'll be doing those half series. So when we go through, if you're more comfortable with one or the other and want to be practicing a certain one, please feel free to kind of throw those in there. As you can see from those half series, we're really focusing on building that sort of upper body strength as we're practicing them. And so just kind of keeping that in mind and focusing in on our core as well, engaging the core as we move through those series.